Toyota, wakey wakey, time to make an electric car.
I don't wanna. I wanna keep working on hydrogen.
But there's loyal customers in the showroom, Toyota, and they want an electric car.
Just give them a hybrid. I got plenty.
Now, customers are always right.
Just tell Subaru to do it.
Not this time, Toyota. This is a group project. Do you want to lose more market share to Hyundai? I have 4 syllables for you. Ioniq 6.
Fine, I'll do it. BZ4x. It's a sort of Toyota. Not really fast, not well handling, not revolutionary, not well styled, bland crossover for people who are either 1, loyal to the Toyota brand, or 2, wandering into smug Donahue Toyota of Delco because it's the closest dealership to their 2,400 square foot Colonial with a detached garage and an indoor jacuzzi, which was used once for DVDA and never again. Anyway, they wander into the showroom looking around with their mouths open like boomers trying to navigate an airport, heads facing one direction, but bodies walking in another.
We'd like to see your electric cars.
Well, we got one. It comes in 2 flavors, slow and slower. But it's fast enough for you if your idea of fast is a stock 289 Gen 1 Mustang with the 3-speed manual top loader. Of all the electric cars I've driven, the BZ4X is the slowest. Even slower than my budget Kia Niro EV. Here's proof. We drag raced my Kia EV and the BZ4X at this stoplight during the road shots. Watch. See? I'm pulling away. And the reason the little Kia is faster is because both of these cars make about 200 horsepower and my car makes about 280 pound-feet, this one makes about 290 pound-feet, but the Kia is lighter. Remember the scene from Mad Men Season 1, the Lucky Strike pitch, where he says, "We have 6 identical products. We can say anything we want." I can't do John Hamm. Ford, Toyota, Chevy, Hyundai, Volkswagen, Tesla, and Volvo, BMW, Rivian, and the rest too. All make EVs that all do the same thing with motors and batteries. With the exception of Tesla and maybe Rivian, Lucid too, fine. The only thing you have left to sell is emotion. Ego. Ego stroking. When I slide into an EV, I want to feel like I'm a good person. I'm ahead of the curve. I'm not getting left behind. The future is going to be great. The future is going to be great for me. An electric car can't wow me with performance anymore because the Model S Plaid makes, 1,000 foot-pounds of torque? This past summer, a Model S Plaid did a quarter mile in 8.56 seconds with slicks and a hot track. That's faster than the index time for NHRA Super Comp and Super Gas drag racing classes. So unless the acceleration of whatever EV you're selling me is making the vestibular apparatuses of my inner ear freak out and feed me equilibrium error messages, don't even mention performance in the brochure. Unless you're going to suck my dick like an elephant drinking, just give me a hand job. Without the wild styling of the Hyundai or the granite assurance of the Volvo, the BZ4X can only trade on the badge. And this, like the 86 or the Supra, is only partially Toyota. So boasting about quality control is dubious. I mean, I'd rather have a BZ4X than a Chevy Bolt or a Ford Mach-E, but I'd rather drive a Sienna hybrid than those 2 EVs. BZ4X. It's like the car built by Sears Portrait Studio. This is supposed to be the first car for Toyota's new Beyond Zero initiative, a plan to create a line of zero-emission vehicles. Beyond Zero. Beyond Extreme. It sounds like either a malt a seltzer drink or a bottle of supplements I find in the gym room. Beyond zero. Beyond hetero. Beyond horny. Beyond zero to give. I'm done. Tepid acceleration, disappointing range, these vents that vent nothing. It's like the missed belt loop of the automotive world. What purpose is even being served here other than a placebo?
Suck that thumb harder, Leroy. Maybe it'll bring back mining jobs too.
Crying out loud, you don't even get a glove box. It's like they took the concept less is more and applied it to the entire car without thinking about how that only applies to situations where the quality of the less is equal or greater to than the value of the more. It doesn't really work when the less you're getting is the automotive equivalent of a shoulder shrug. It's even worse when you get something over-engineered for no reason. For example, as Anton tells us, the car has to be turned off to lock or unlock with the key fob. I'm going to say that again. The car has to be turned off before you can lock or unlock it with the key fob, presumably to stop thieves from making off with your car after they realize there's no catalytic converter to steal. But the car will automatically shut itself off after an hour, which is great if you accidentally leave the car running while you take in the groceries or something, but not so great if you lock yourself out of the car while it's running, because then you need to wait an hour before you can use the fob to get back in. This presents an even bigger problem if you lock yourself out while it's running, but someone who can't operate their own door is locked in. I hope you don't need me to tell you that you shouldn't go leaving your pets or your babies in any car, but really don't do that in the BZ4X, not unless you feel like doing a Street Fighter bonus level on your car's windows. Break out the E-Honda 100 hand slap or save old Spark. Is the handling okay? It's non-existent. This thing turns left and right and goes forward and backward. It has all the power of a Kia Niro EV with a couple more 100 pounds. It feels like anti-innovation, rejecting the idea that it has to be anything more than an EV. It's a car that provides ammunition to people who feel like EVs are less of a trend that's happening organically and more something being strong-armed under the public. I hear like, why are they pushing EVs on us? And on the other hand, you have people who are like, don't you want to go fully electric? Aren't you tired of being cucked? Wouldn't you rather be the one doing the cucking? And look, here, it is a boring subject, but look, EVs are not a bad thing. I drive one, but I also drive a big honking classic American car. It's worth having an EV solely for not having to deal with the gas pump and the rural types trying to start a culture war conversation with a complete stranger because they see a bedfellow everywhere they turn. I'd rather drink the backwash from a CPAP machine than ever have to put up with gas pump Gary again. But the BZ4X is so far beneath Toyota. It's like they gave their homework to the dog for dinner, but instead the dog decided to finish it and turn it in. Whether you want to call it the BZ4X or the Subaru Solterra, this thing is about as disappointing as you can get from a launch car for a new global strategy. Beyond zero!
I'm beyond horny. I'm horny tomorrow, even though I busted now.
I impregnate the future. I'm beyond zero. I come no-handed. Right, the name BZ4X. BZ for beyond, for similar to like RAV4. I guess it's available with four-wheel drive, right? You can have dual motors on this, and X for being a compact crossover. Basically, it's a RAV4 with a J300 Land Cruiser wheelbase. Subaru did the all-wheel drive and collision safety systems, while Toyota did the battery and the e-axle driving model. It's just the electric motor, the inverter, and the transaxle all in one. Kia is doing something similar. It doesn't feel like a Toyota in here. It doesn't have that operational confidence. It's too boring to feel good. It's the EV you get when the family vacation is to the same theme park every year. Toyota BZ4X. It's like a gargoyle that comes to life to give tax advice. Toyota BZ4X. For the man whose idea of a threesome is having Alexa and Siri wake him up at the same time. Performance. Right. This is the single motor one, 201 horsepower, 196 pound-feet of torque, and an estimated 252 miles of range. This is front-wheel drive only, so you get more range. This is the one with the better range. You get two motors, it gets less range. It's still less than my Kia. But it was cheaper than Anton's old Porsche Cayenne Turbo, which cost $100 a month in fuel. Wait, no, that's not $100 a month. That's $100 4 times a month. That's $400 a month in fuel for the Cayenne Turbo. So in the 8,000 miles he's had for this, the BZ4X has almost made up the difference in gas saving alone. And it offers a lot of storage space relative to what you might expect of a modern SUV. You get approximately between 26 and 28 cubic feet, depending on various equipment like sound systems, the subwoofer in the back, etc. Which isn't some enormous improvement in the market, but the difference is that the space you do get seems to be wider without sacrificing depth. For example, Anton tells us he can carry 10-foot pipes, outboard motors, power generators without issue. But even when you're talking Toyota and Subaru, you're still playing catch-up with other models, especially with the Rivian, although this is much cheaper than the Rivian. Now, you'd think Toyota and Subaru were aiming for affordability and hoping that they could simply charge less and sell more, that they could make up for lost ground in quick order, but these aren't appreciably cheaper than the past-gen models like the Ioniq 5, the EV6, or even a Mach-E, all of which hover around a base price in the low $40,000 range. And without performance or styling or range, what is left? The fact that it's a new car in an era where we don't get many new cars, is that it? We get reimaginings of things that already existed. We got the Jeep Renegades, we get the new Maverick, we get the electric version of the Mustang, which is really an SUV, and we get the Jeep Gladiator. In the era of reboot cinema and video game remakes, cars aren't really exempt from being Malibu Stacy in a new hat. Except, here it is. Here is a car that really isn't a tribute or a reboot. Yes, it shares similarities with the RAV4 and Land Cruiser, but the BZ4X is still its own thing. It's just that I'm not sure how good of a thing this is when half the game is name recognition.
What's a BZ4X?
That's a new Toyota.
Well, I don't know. I haven't heard much about it. Probably won't last. Let's look at those Hyundais or whatever.
It's the automotive equivalent of not getting into a new TV show because,
it's probably just gonna get canceled, so why bother?
But in a vacuum, the BZ4X is a great option if you can get past how plain it is. Anton just wanted a gas sipper and learned about this car and its incentives. He went to Toyota's website, saw they were indeed doing a deal, but only in certain states, so he did his research, had a test drive, negotiated to $3,000 down and a payment of $160 a month out the door. He's paying less than half for a lease than what he was paying for gas on his Porsche, so that's something. If all you need is a Maytag SUV, something that's pure appliance and doesn't need to do anything more than help you do errands cheaply because you aren't spending a fortune on gas and oil changes and other maintenance and brakes, that's fine, I guess. But is that the bar? Is that the new hotness? Fine. See you next week.
There are a number of things in this car that make you think it behaves one way and it behaves another way. You think this is just a straight pull, but there's a release under there. Your gear shifter is a dial-a-gear, but you try to turn it and it doesn't turn. And then you see push N for neutral, so you do that. That doesn't work. You're supposed to take the whole ring, push the ring down, and then you can turn. And instead of having the park button in the middle, where your hand is, it's up there. I'm guessing they put your phone charger, your wireless charging pad, under this so your phone is safe and out of sight. But that also means that if you want to use your USB for anything, this lid has to be up. And now it's kind of, it's going to hit your arm when you go to change gear. Very, very un-Toyota stuff. They put your business card reader, they integrate it into your vanity mirror here, which means if you push stuff in on it, you're going to push the plastic backing of the cover into, it's not really glass, but into your mirror and scratch the mirror. I know that we don't really care about these anymore, who really uses these, but yeah, it's the same on the driver's side too. There's a tray here under the center console. Life of me, I can't really figure out what it's for. There's a divot in there that looks like you could prop your cell phone up, but but it's blocked by the floating center console above it. So maybe this is for grandma tissues? You have a USB-C down here, but that's not data, that's just charging. In the rear there are two USB-C charging ports, very good. It looks like on a higher trim model you probably would get more accessories in the back, maybe heated seats in the back. This is pretty much a base model, so nothing back here. Your center armrest in the back does have two slots right here for your iPad children, so they're thinking of that. There's the tiniest quarter panel window back here in the back seat. I mean, wait a minute. The glass goes all the way around, but it's only visible through this little porthole. I mean, is this really gonna, I think it's more for style, to make it look like the window continues back there. These vents do go somewhere. They go back there. But the angle of the wind coming through this doesn't really cool the tire, I guess. Maybe if the wheel is turned it would. But they did, no, they're not angled toward the, why do these need to be here? What purpose does this serve?